Oh, gotta grab these headphones here. Okay, this is Dream Warriors, 31 Days of Dread, Big Day, Day 13. We're talking Jason X because what else would you talk about? Let's just hit that music and we're gonna get to it. Oh boy, yeah, I could have researched the heck out of this movie, and why didn't I? That's nearly because I'm watching endless horror movies and trying not to uh, scramble scramble my own eggs because it's not easy watching a lot of horror. I generally don't gravitate towards horror. I'm kind of in that moment in life where I just want happy, cheerful things. Not saying I'm backing off from reality or I'm just ignoring the world that we live in. I'm on the other sphere of belief that we are inherently good, and I just want to be surrounded by good things because I feel like people are mostly good. People by in all are mostly good. But yeah, watching horror movies every single day takes its toll. It gets to you. So today's Jason X. This is the 10th movie in the Friday the 13th franchise. By the time this movie came out, it definitely was a franchise. This was also a franchise killer, very similar to the way Alien Resurrection, Batman and Robin, and now almost, geez, Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Tides, to where you have this big franchise, you have money coming in, you have a character that's not just a character, but it's similar to Superman and Metropolis, where they're synonymous with a environment. For Jason, it's Crystal Lake Camp. So you have all these elements that the audience just really loves, adores. Like it's really hard to define exactly like where the interest comes from, uh, or anything because like for the sake of Friday the 13th, it wasn't really until the third movie where we got the Jason that we love. So the first two movies really created the interest for this type of setting. I think it's a setup for the environment more than anything, and the situation, and it was so well done that it just grabbed people. So by the time Jason X comes out, it came out in 2002. Uh, the interest in slasher films have kind of like waned. It became less significant. Uh, the the film buff, the cinephile, movie going audience was coming up, so there was a more of a need. There was a higher interest in independent movies and artistic movies and movies that were driven through dialogue. So it's interesting. The Friday the 13th, to its counterpart, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Uh, I think they're day and night. The Freddy movies always had a linear unpacking of his history, and they it just marched forward and it adds some mythology and some lore along the way. The Jason movies tried to do that, but every time they attempted it, uh, it got um, it got more confusing, and there was nothing more confusing about Jason's what he is. Is he a zombie? Is he a demon? Is he a does is he bringing the apocalypse? Is he an agent of revelations? Um, is he there just to kill kids? Is he there to protect the lake? And this movie actually leaves off with an interesting scenario for the source of Jason's power and what Jason's intent is. But yeah, so but oh my god, is this movie fun? This movie's pretty awesome. This movie is, we're eclipsing the '90s. We're still in the early 2000s, and you got to keep in mind when a lot of these movies are begin production, begin like the conversations that these movies emerge out of. You got to put your head a few years back because it takes a few years to even get to roll camera, like to roll footage for your movie through the camera, because that's how movies are made. Excuse me. Oh my god. Excuse me there. But yeah. So Jay, this, even though the movie came out in 2002, it is a product of the 90s, and the sensibility of the fashion, even though it's futuristic fashion. Because oh, by the way, this movie takes place in the future. Yeah. We're we're in the year 2455. Yeah. And the movie's directed by James Isaac, and it's written by Todd Farmer, and it is a New Line Cinema production. And New Line is also known as the house that Freddy built. So New Line was a like an independent film company that I believe got later picked up by Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers, and Michael DeLuca was the guy that really built that place out, and no relation. Uh, but yeah, and so when they were sitting down to do this movie, the movie's relatively up until the last 25 minutes. It's Jason in outer space. Okay, it's Jason in space on a spaceship. The Jason who it's Uber Jason, the cyborg Jason. He doesn't really make an appearance until the end of the movie, and kind of only has one run, and it's kind of weird because the setup for that is like even of the day was very much how a lot of comic book movies were structured, where you got this really weird long, I would say with the exception of Tim Burton's Batman, but you had very few moments with the character on screen doing cool things. And in the '90s, you usually only got it at the end. You got these like payoffs, and I think that's what they thought audiences wanted. So would this movie be different? Would it be better if there was more Uber Jason? I don't really know. I mean, it's hard to make that assumption, but holy crap. Do I want more Uber Jason? Yeah, should there have been more? I think so. Uh, I think just the idea is so funny. It's so ridiculous, but it's very Friday the 13th also. So when we spoke about Pumpkinhead, we talked about conventions and how horror movies are all constructed with conventions, with various levels of intent. So this movie is very interesting because it delivers you everything you want. I mean, it has all the scenes, it has all the highlights uh, from a Friday the 13th movie. So it definitely captures the presence and the joy of movies like this. Uh, to go through the plot. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, James Isaac. A week ago, I just read through his wiki, and because I knew I was going to be doing this, it looks like he was a technical director or a technical technician for the special effects and Return of the Jedi, which is very cool. Very cool, very cool. But yeah, so this movie, really cool beginning. And we have a in the beginning of this movie, we have another appearance by David Cronenberg. So that's the third David Cronenberg in 13 movies. He plays the one of the doctors in the beginning of this movie, and he gets killed by not Uber Jason, but regular Jason. So Jason's held in this facility. He's being studied. He's being unpacked for science. The confusion of his origin that I alluded to earlier kind of starts from the first frame, which is the very 90s, 2000 camera roller coaster zoom that we saw in Fight Club. We saw that in the first X-Men movie, where you're in the first person position and you're going through like parts of a body or just something that is microscopic and detailed. And so we're into what I could only dissect as hell. The movie opens very much in hell, very close to like look a little bit like Spawn, which was also from New Line Cinema. But we're in hell, and as the camera pulls back, we realize we're inside Jason. We're inside Jason's body, and he's being again like cut up and dissected, and tissue being torn away. And it's interesting that they chose to show almost like a physical hell within the cell structure of Jason Voorhees. I'm not even sure what that means, what it could allude to, but if we're going from the Jason from the previous Friday the 13th movies, he's kind of like a resurrected demon from hell. So maybe that's why. I don't really know. This is why the actual history and the meaning of Jason gets very confusing movie to movie. So from that point, we know he escapes and he gets cryogenically frozen with this one girl. And thousands of years into the future, they get rescued a la Aliens style. Very much like the beginning of Aliens when they rescue Sigourney Weaver from the events in the first movie. And Earth is, I just love the visual for Earth. But when they're walking out of the facility, it's just like hell. Like it is like Wrath of Khan looking. Like it's just like it's brown and windy, and Earth is just destroyed. And just keep in mind, also the all the spaceships in this movie are poorly conceived. One of the worst batches, I think. But I love space and I love spaceships, so yeah, they're round. They're like spheres with 3 thrusters, but they're mostly like sphere based, and it's just weird. Like it's just weird. Why would you green like that? Why would you put a thumbs up to that? Like that's of this entire movie. That's excuse me, of the entire movie. That is really what I want to know. I want to know who put the thumbs up on the spaceships. So yeah, and that's how we get Jason in the future and on the spaceship. Is he's cryogenically frozen. And awesome backstory too. Like backstory that they were aware of Jason, that they tracked him down, that they captured him, that they had him captive, that they kept him alive, and that they were conducting experiments on him. Like, hey, so between Friday the 13th, you know, the final Friday, Jason Goes to Hell, between 9 and 10, very cool. Like, very cool backstory there. I love where Jason X begins. I think that's, like, there's just a lot that can be done there. So, Jason obviously escapes from the spaceship and literally just goes on a nonstop murder spree, which is not even like bad. It's all Jason. It's cool kills. There's one where he freezes a girl's face, like freezes her face and just smashes it. And so like this movie kind of goes into some of the psychology of Jason. And it relatively ends on this note that I'll get to real quick. It's a really good note because it's ignored, period, and I don't know why. But this movie, just on a quick side note, it's really considered probably the worst Jason movie. It's the only movie with that's Friday the 13th with Jason, like as the character. Jason X stands for 10. It's the 10th movie. People call him. They call the cyborg Jason X, but he's actually Uber Jason. And yeah, but the movie kind of delivers like everything. So Jason along the way just kills amazingly attractive women. Kills smug bosses. He goes through military dudes, which is cool because we never really kind of saw a concentrated, focused effort before of military guys like gearing up to take out Jason Voorhees. With futuristic weapons, by the way, like BFG guns and all that. So again, we have all of these things we never seen before in a Friday movie that are in Jason X. It's like you can see the checklist being checked off as you're watching this movie. I think the even the music, Harry Manfredini. Oh jeez, I'm so bad with the pronunciation of the name sometimes. Huge career, and he's actually did all the other Friday movies. I think up until that point, he might have scored every single Friday movie, and the score's a home run. It hits notes. It definitely resonates. It's memorable, and it's something to be. It's just something to be looked at on its own. But yeah, so with Jason's kill spree, that would be an awesome name for like a follow up to this, like Jason cybernetic kill spree, Uber Jason cybernetic kill spree. Sign me up. But yeah, so he obviously, just kills everyone, and a cyborg gets an upgrade, or she's more like an android, not a cyborg, and she completely takes out Jason. Like we've never seen Jason so quickly defeated, which is cool. His head gets blown off, and then these nanobots take over Jason's body and resurrect him and give him his cybernetic form. We keep going with the movie. More deaths, more deaths. Spaceship blows up. By the way, we also have the destruction of a giant space station in this movie, and that's a little bit of what I liked. I like that we never saw too much of this chaos, this like train that Jason creates, and just kind of like keeps going. And this movie definitely has that element that's really not in any other Friday movie. The other element is that the spaceship is like running out of air. There's issues with getting off the spaceship. There's other things that our characters are dealing with outside of Jason. Okay, again, very important. Something we haven't seen before. So we have all the Friday the 13th like tropes. Like we have the Friday checklist. We have a new setting, which is kind of like, they're actually, I don't know if they're actually, but, like, supposedly there was conversation of, like, Fast and Furious going to space. These movies all reach that fantasy, like, idea level where they just want to go more and more extreme. This is one of the few ones that actually did it. You get points for that. You get points for having like plot devices outside of Jason in this movie that are affecting the characters. So where's the movie break? Where is the movie crack? Definitely with the characterization and the actors. I just think it's a little like, for example, it's they come off as like a little too fake, a little like too naive. But then again, like it kind of fits because they all know who or what Jason is. These are future people. They know about things and have seen things that modern day people haven't. But none of that is a part of the story. But definitely, there's no connections made with any of the characters, and there's no real big character moments. And there's one really cool scene too to trick Jason. They do this like VR deck, like in X-Men and Star Trek, and they recreate Crystal Lake, and he kills two campers there with sleep. Like they do the sleeping bag gag, which has now become Jason's signature kill. And like even that was interesting. So we even get like Uber Jason and Crystal Lake, and yeah. So like maybe the characters are is what takes you out of the movie. I think everything else in the movie definitely works. I also feel like no one was ready for it. I remember when this movie came out, and no one there. There was a high anticipation for me because I wanted this movie to succeed because I just liked it. I just liked the idea of it, and it definitely didn't resonate. At definitely, I'm so sorry. Here I got. I think I woke up with some congestion today, and I don't know. It might go away, but yeah. So that's what happens when fall comes, congestion. But yeah, so like we definitely have elements that are great in this movie. We have ideas that are amazing. Again, like maybe it's film goers like myself that get attracted to it. I always like sequels that veer off, like that just go into a different direction. Look, I'll always say this: GI Joe Retaliation, huge example of that. They gave it to the villains. They killed off the team in the beginning. And they showed you that in the trailers, and I'm like, holy crap, dude! Like they're going for it. I think this movie is very much like that. But yes, but I'm the only one. I might be the only one that enjoys the heck out of this movie. But yeah, so just moving forward real quick, because we're in a little bit of a time crunch with these episodes. Hey, doing one of these a day. Some of the canned ones are multiple days. Yeah, holy crap! Or the shelf ones. Yeah, it's grinding, all right. But the movie ends with Jason, and I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything, but essentially Jason gets held going through the atmosphere of Earth 2, and he burns up, but the mask the like lands in the lake, which is and we're pulled back a little bit, and we see that there's two teenagers hanging out at the lake, and they see a comet fall. And then we cut to, they're like, oh, isn't it romantic? Kiss me, kiss me. And then we cut to his sovereign, the Uber Jason mask in the lake, at the bed of the lake. Okay, interesting. So, and I'm pretty sure we hear the ch, which we didn't get enough of in this movie. That's the other strike. Didn't get enough of that. But maybe they were trying to do something different. I don't know. But yeah, so what this movie alludes to is that potentially Crystal Lake, potentially water, potentially like an atmosphere around water, like a true environment, could be the source of his power. Because obviously showing what they showed you at the end means it's not over yet. And for any of these movies, it's not over. That's part of the gag. Like that's the you got me type thing. But yeah, or gotcha. But I don't know. I had a heck of a time, and I really haven't seen this movie like just seriously sat down to watch it in maybe like 15 years. So 15 years go by, and I always remembered just at least enjoying the movie. I don't think this movie is horrible at all. I think criticisms for the movie are all, yeah, I guess they're all legit. I think some of it's taste level, or some of it's just sitting down and watching a freaking movie where people just get murdered in fun ways and create. There's one where this guy falls on this giant like screw, and he falls on it, gets impaled, and he's just going around the threads of the screw, like getting deeper and deeper. And they're like, "Oh, we're so and so," and the girl's like, "Oh, he got screwed," and like we have lines like that. When we go into the Friday the 13th remake. Okay, the 2009 remake. It which, believe it or not, had had a budget about $5 million more than this. This movie was made for 14 million. Uh, the Friday 2009 remake. And I watched a big chunk of this while just kind of getting ready to sit down here. So I kind of watched two Jason movies. Like there's really none of that in there. Like there's none of those like awesome, funny, stupid kills with puns. It's a Schwarzenegger thing. It's definitely 80s. And you gotta remember, the Friday movies were the 80s. The first one came out in 1980. Okay, killed made like $40 million, and then it was 81, 82. We skipped 83. Then it was 84, 85, 86. Skipped 88, 89. Okay, and then we go into the 90s. We go Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, 93. It was budgeted for 3 million. That still made 16 million. This movie, the entire franchise is about the budget overall for 10 movies. Well, now it's 12. Okay, including Freddy and Jason. For 12 movies, $80.9 million. The return is close to 40 million. Domestically, 65 international. This is a $500 million franchise off of $80 million. So, yeah, do we continue Jason X? Do we make a sequel for this movie? We have to. Can we Kickstarter this? I want this movie needs a part two. It needs more. It needs to be just remake this movie and just plus it out. Just add to it. Make it more fun and more detailed. But keep the dark humor, keep the puns, and just amazing death after amazing death after amazing death. And that is the only thing you need from a Friday movie. Far simpler of a formula than any other slasher movie because the setup is perfect. It's an entity. It's a force of nature. Freddy needs a setup. Michael Myers needs a setup. Leatherface, Hatchet. The Hatchet dude needs a setup, and it goes on and on, on and on. Jason Voorhees does not need a setup. He exists. He exists to kill. I don't know. It's amazing that it's 2017 and the last Friday movie we got was 2009. Like what the and they're wondering why people aren't going to the movies. Why there's even like a horror resurgence right now. I mean, like, come on. Well, people are going to movies for a plethora of reasons. One of them is actually too many adaptations, not enough originality. They always say that, and originality doesn't move things forward. Believe it or not, we need a business, and then we need outliers. The outliers can't be the business. Okay, duh. So hey, everyone, go watch this movie. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's on. What did I watch it? Am I even? Oh my god! Everyone, go watch this movie. It's a heck of a fun movie. And if you enjoy Halloween, if you enjoy slasher movies, this is it. This is an awesome movie to get drunk with. Get drunk with this movie. You'll love it. You'll thank me for it. Signing off. Bye.